Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie. I'm in the craft room and today's going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm going to be doing an experiment. So I have watched a few videos on YouTube talking about paint pouring and making these beautiful canvases, and I was thinking maybe there was a way I can translate this into making some poured paper that I could then use on my cards and other projects. So I mentioned this, I think, when I was at the Dollar Tree, or during my Dollar Tree haul, that's why I bought the acrylic paint. So that's what I have here. I also have the Crayola paint that I bought from the Walmart haul. So if you want more information on that, check those haul videos out. When I watch the videos, a lot of them use a product called Floetrol, but then some of the ones that do more budget friendly use things like glue. And I'm not sure exactly why you require this. My guess is because it gets diluted a lot. It needs some sort of adhesion or something, maybe. I don't know. I don't know the science behind it. So I've got some Elmer's glue we'll use. They also talk about creating cells, and from what I can tell, it's because they put a product, usually something silicone based, in the paint that causes it to disperse in this way that leaves these almost bubble like texture in the paint. Looks really cool. I don't have anything silicone, like I don't have a silicone anything silicone related, but I do have some hair oil that contains trimethicone, which I believe is silicone. So we're going to try this. We'll see if it works. And then we're going to have some water to make the consistency pourable enough, I guess. I have a tray to hopefully contain the mess. I'm hoping this is not going to go disastrously wrong, but I guess you will find out. At the Dollar Tree, I had bought some poster board. It was about 14 inches long, so I've cut that in half, and I've got quite a few sheets here. Again, I'm not quite sure how many I will get, but they do fit within the pan, so hopefully the mess will be somewhat contained. I also have the paper cups that I had purchased from the Dollar Tree as well. And I thought we could use these, one for mixing, but also as stands in the tray. So something like that, maybe. See how this works. Something like that. Looks like it might work. Maybe. We'll find out. And then we'll also need some for mixing. Okay, and then to assist with the mixing, I also have some stir sticks. So my thought is, and we'll see how this goes, that the poster board will work better than regular cardstock because it's got a bit of a coating on it, and that should help from some serious warping. I'm going to put one down here in the bottom, just in case the stuff that drips through looks good, or maybe we'll get something cool out of that. I don't know. We'll see. And we'll put another piece on top and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's see how we're going to go about mixing this. Again, I don't have any formulas. I don't really know what I'm doing. This is just an experiment, so bear with me. Let's get a couple different sticks up. I think I'm going to start with the Dollar Tree ones, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so again, like I said, I have no idea. I need a garbage. Maybe I'll just use another cup to put that in for now. I have no idea what I'm doing. Anyways, you should check out some of the videos. It's pretty cool how these things turn out, and I always think they're going to end up with mud, and then they end up with these really cool cool images. Oh, and by the way, I suspect this is going to get very messy, so I better have some of these out. if you're someone who doesn't like to get your hands painted, you may want to wear gloves. So let's see. Hopefully this isn't too boring. I will show you what I do on the first one, and then I'll come back once everything's mixed. And I think I'm going to try and stick just to, oh, that was dumb, stick just to the primary colors, so red, yellow, and blue, and see how that turns out. I think I'm using about half the container. I don't want to make a super big batch because if this is a big fail, then I don't want to have used up all the paint, right? So I will start with these two, show you what I'm doing, and then I will come back shortly. So I think from what I saw in some of the videos, they put in about the same amount of glue as they do paint. So let's try that. And let's give that a stir. It could be too that the glue liquefies the paint a little bit more so that it will flow easier. So see, it's not too bad. So let's add a little bit more, add a little bit of water. Again, I'm just going by what I saw on the video. So if you want more precise information, I'm sure the people that are experts at this will give you the information you may need. Okay, so, and I do recall that many of them say you have to stir, and then stir some more. Okay, so I'm going to continue mixing this up and mix the other two colors, and I will be back once I think the consistency is where it needs to be, and I'll give you a look-see so you can see what it looks like. Okay, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I also mixed up some white because I thought that would be good to break this up a little bit. So just so you can see the consistency that I'm going with. Actually, I don't know if you can see that. Can you even see that? I hope you can see that. It just kind of pours pretty easily off the stick. Okay, so the technique that I want to try is what they call a dirty pour. So we're just going to take another cup and we're just going to pour all these colors in one particular cup. So if we just go in here, we'll add a little bit, and then we're going to squirt a little bit of this spray in, and we're going to add a little bit of yellow. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of blue. I don't know if you can see, maybe I'll zoom you guys in. A little bit of white. Maybe a little bit more blue. And from what I can tell, there's no real science to this. I think it's just practice and what you feel works. There's maybe some techniques, I guess, if you swirl versus pour or dump. I don't know. It looks all pretty random to me when I watch the videos, but that's just my thought. Okay. And you'd think it would just like create like massive mud or whatever, right? But I don't know, it looks pretty cool when it's all done. The other thing that many of them use is like a blowtorch or whatever on there to help bring out the cells or the bubbles, if you want to call it. I'm using paper, so clearly that's not a good idea. They usually use like canvases and stuff. So I'm just going to use a heat gun to see what happens. Okay. Now I think that's more than enough for what I'm doing. So let's give this a pour and see what's going to happen. Zooming it out. Let's move this out of the way. Okay. And that's what it looks like. Now let's give this a dump and see what happens. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing. So we'll just give this a chance for the paint to pour out. And I'm okay if it doesn't go over the edge. Like, they're really concerned about it because of the canvas and stuff. I am getting some paper warping. That for sure is happening. So even though I hoped it wouldn't be too much, it does look like I am getting a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to try something. They also call it like a swiping technique. So let's see how that works. I think I probably could have used a little more paint. So I thought I had plenty, but I think I could have used a little more. I really like this. Isn't that pretty? Okay, let's see if we can get some of this moving over here. So when they talk about the cells, they're talking about these kind of markings here. I'm not sure what those ones are. It's probably just the way I poured the paint, I think. Okay, so let's just see if this will pour a little bit more. So I suspect I either don't have enough paint or it's still not, what's the right word? It's not liquidy enough. It's not, yeah, it's not, I didn't add enough water. But still pretty cool, I think. Okay, so let's see if we can fill in some of these gaps. And some of this I like. I think I'm just going to leave that alone. I don't think I want to mess with that too much. And I kind of like that shape. So I think we're going to leave that as is. We'll put it somewhere to dry. And we'll come back and see what it does later on. I might try pouring some more with my leftover bits and see where we end up. Okay, I have to show you this. So after I stopped the videotaping, I decided that I was going to add a little bit of heat, and that seems to help move the product a little bit. So I'm just going to show you what's going on now. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry. So cool. Okay, so I filled up another cup, finished off what I had. So this is all the paint that I had mixed up. And we're going to give this a dump and we'll see. Actually, you know what? Let's try pouring it instead of dumping it and see how that works. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this one's going way better than the other one. think I had more product. I don't know. I think I just like the woo, the dispersion method was a little easier because it was already partially spread out over the paper. Okay, so let's just rest this down. And again, I don't need it to go all the way to the edges because, like I said, I'm not going to use this sheet as is. I'm going to be either die cutting some shapes out of it or cutting it into panels to apply to my card base. So let's see what happens if we add some heat. You don't get a lot of cells like they talk about in their paint porn, which is really cool. So it could be just the product I'm using, or maybe I don't put enough in, I don't know. But it still looks pretty cool. So I'm going to continue drying this, and I will come back with the other ones and let you see what they look like when they're all dry. Okay, so I mixed up another batch, and I will show you what I'm going to do this time around. And I did add the spray directly into the mixed paint already. So as opposed to doing it in layers, I just already incorporated it into the mix to see if that makes a difference or not. So we're just going to reuse the same cup. I added green this time just for fun, and I think I made it a little more runny, I guess. A little more liquidy, a little more smooth, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Actually, let me just zoom you in here. I don't want to put too much green close to the red because that will make mud. So we'll see how we make out with that. Okay, let's see how this one turns out. And I kind of like the swirling thing, so we're going to do that again, I think. It's so cool how every time you do this you get something different. I think that's what's appealing about it, is that it is so different every time, but it is messy. Okay, so let's add some heat and see if we can get rid of some of those bubbles on that side. I don't know if you can see that very well. Do it this way. I think that's just the oil that I added. I think that's what that's doing. So it's having the opposite effect of adding cells. It's creating these bubbles that don't look like cells. I mean, it's still kind of cool, but it's just not the same effect that what I'm seeing on other people's work. So anyways, I'm going to dry this one up, and we get enough paint to go again, and we'll give that one a try. Give me a minute. Okay, so this time I thought rather than pouring it into the cup, we're just going to pour it directly on the paper. So let's see how this will work. See what happens. let's see what we can do with this hot mess. I think the hardest part with this is that it's the paper warps, right? When you're doing with a canvas, it doesn't warp. Okay, so I've got a lot of paint on here, people. I guess if you're gonna go big, right? How much of this you guys can see. So what I like about this one is you don't get as much mixing of the colors, so it's not quite so muddy as the other ones were. But this is definitely messier. I got a lot of paint on here. Oh, you guys can't even see. Okay, let's put that down. Ah! I think I need more than a baby wipe. Okay, where's the heat gun? Here we go. Which will never be the same after this. Yeah, so I think the oil that I added is what's causing these divots in here, which is, it's okay. It's a texture, but wasn't quite the cell, as they call it, look that I was going for. So I probably wouldn't recommend that one if that's what you're looking for. If I do it again, I think I'm going to try using either real silicone stuff, or I've heard rubbing alcohol might work. You know, you've got to give it a try, see how it works. So far this one I think is my favorite. It's the least muddiest of them all. Like, the colors are more pure, but if you like that kind of gradient look, not gradient, more mixed look, then maybe the other ones will appeal. So I'm going to continue drying this, and again, once everything's completely dry, I'll come back and show you the end results. Okay, here we go. We're going to try another one because I got paint left over. We want to use it up. A lot of blue left over. Okay, and we got some white. And what a mess I'm making. Good thing I put sheets down, right? Okay, let's see what we can do with this. Okay, let's heat that up. It's really curling. Okay, we'll let this one dry and we'll be back. Okay, so let's look at the finished pour paintings, I guess. They actually dried fairly flat. I did put them under a heavy book just to make sure they dried flatter. These did take a long time to dry, like probably 8 hours maybe even more on some of them, and I think that's because the paint was so thick. So as I went along, I did add more water to it, and I think I got better results, and I think the paint was also a little thinner, so it dried a little quicker. So that's something to keep in mind. So this is the very first, my first experiment. I like aspects of it. Overall, though, it is a little dark and a little dingy. I somehow got a piece of something stuck in the paint, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I do really like this yellow and red burst and some of the stuff that's going on here. So I think I will probably use this to like die cut some shapes out and use it as an accent piece, because I think that's still salvageable. So that's the first one. This is the second one. Again, the colors are really quite dark and maybe over mixed a little bit. Muddy, I guess, is probably a better word for it. This one was really thick in through the middle, but it is fairly flat. I mean, there is a ridge here. But again, some pretty cool patterning that I think I can make use of, probably with some die cut shapes, I think. Although I might be able to get like a square panel or something maybe out of it. So that's that one. Then the one that I added the green in, this one turned out pretty cool. There are a lot of these spots, and I'm pretty sure, well, I was going for what they call cells. This is really just a reaction to the oil. I think the oil caused the paint to separate into these little blobs, but it does kind of look like bubbles, and it's still kind of cool, so I like that. The color's a little less muddy in here, but still not quite what I would like. But again, I can use some sort of bits and pieces from this. Okay, so now we get into the ones where I added more water and I didn't do a dirty pour. I did colors directly on the cardstock. So I really like this one. This is the one where I did the stripes and then played around with it. I think this one's nice and bright and vibrant, and I think I could do something cool with this. I'm not sure if I'm going to make this into like an art journal page maybe, or do something else with it. But this one is I quite like this one. Again, not the cells like I was hoping for, but the little spots are still kind of interesting. The next one is the one where I started with, or in rainbow order from the top going down. I really like this one as well. I think it's interesting. There was some muddying going on here where the green mixed with the red, but overall it's not bad. I did play a little around with smearing it, and the texture there is a little bit different, but again, not different. You can tell that I smeared it. But that's easy enough to cover with another layer or something, especially if I make this into an art journal page, which is what I think I will probably do. That one. And the last one is nothing, nothing special. It's actually rather ugly. This is the page that I had at the bottom of the tray, so all the extra bits of paint that leaked through, I just kind of covered it, moved it around, smeared it. You can see actually this side's probably more interesting than the other side. Isn't that strange? So this is the scraps or whatever, but there are some little interesting bits that I think I could still make use of it in some way or another. So that is my experiment, my very first experiment with paint pouring. I never did get around to using the Crayola paints, so that we'll save those for another time, and maybe I will get some actual silicone lubricant and see if that makes a difference in getting the cells. But overall, I would say it was a success. The Bristol paper held up okay. I mean, while I was doing it did warp quite a bit, but it seems to have leveled out well enough that I could adhere it down onto a paper project or whatever. Anyways, it was fun, a little messy. My fingers are still not quite recovered, so I do recommend that if you're going to get into this, you may want to wear gloves. But anyways, leave a comment below which one was your favorite, and if you've try paint pouring. Any tips that I can use or that we can use in the future would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, happy crafting.